Hi, this is Mike Breininger. I'm the pastor of Richland Center Fellowship. I'm on today to announce the launch of a new series. I'm calling it A Bit of Light. May change that later on, but that's what it is now. Some of you had tuned in the early days of the pandemic 2020 when I did a daily series at that time. It really dealt with a lot of current events and political aspects. That's not exactly the focus on this series, and it'll just be once a week that I'm going to be sharing. This series is more about what are the heaven solutions to the earth problems in these days. In other words, what's God doing? What's He raising up? How is that working? So I'm looking forward to addressing some things that are problems on the earth, but I don't really want to give you the idea this is going to be a politicized thing or it's just about current events. It's really about what God is doing in these times. The last 2 years have been strange years for us. I lived through the 1960s and 70s. In the late 60s, early 70s, we had national turmoil as never had taken place before. There was uprising of young people that really changed the trajectory of the nation from that point forward. The last 2 years tells me that we're in a similar time where things are changing dramatically, and it's not the same as it was in the 60s and 70s. It's very different today. So I just want to review a couple things that have taken place that I think are significant benchmarks for why I believe we're in this tumultuous change time where there's a shifting of all kinds of power bases, and the Lord is responding with, or initiating, maybe would be a better term, with new expressions of the church that are going to take place. So think about this. We had in early 2020, the pandemic was announced. COVID, people were out telling everyone they had to stay home. The government had lockdowns, mandates, masks, can't go to business, can't go to work, can't go to all those things. Kind of at the same time, we had riots in the street. There was a lot of bloodletting that was taking place, property that was damaged, buildings that were burned, cars that were burned. I was in Madison 2020 at the Capitol and was appalled at what I saw. All the businesses were boarded up. This was similar to the 60s and 70s, but there didn't seem to be a real focus in all of this. Some thought it was about racial issues, but not convinced that that was the foundation or the motivation for these things taking place. We've had censorship in the media that I've never seen in my lifetime. And it has been shocking to me that there has been such a ability for most of the media to be involved in this. Consequently, there's other media that's springing up in various places. One of the phenomena that's going on right now are thefts in stores, especially in larger cities. People just walking out with armloads of items with no prosecutions, no arrests. The police are even afraid to do anything about it, to go and arrest anybody. Which brings me to another point, the whole idea that the policing and judicial system has failed America and people want to defund it, get rid of it. In some cases, they want to revise it or rehabilitate it. And there's probably things that do need to change, but driving the police out is not going to make for safer communities and safer cities. The death rates among young people have skyrocketed. Not much talk about that in the media. It isn't about gun violence. It isn't even about violence at all. People are just dropping dead, and especially young people. And it's rather shocking. Some of them now, more recently, famous football players that are just dropping over dead without explanation. We had the election fraud that took place in 2020. And of course, some people say, well, that's just a big conspiracy thing. And now we've got all kinds of evidence that, in fact, there was massive election fraud. Did it change the outcome of the presidential election? Well, that's something that I guess people will be talking about for a long time to come. I'm just talking about the change in the way the United States is functioning. And the fact that we had that amount of fraud in our election I am quite certain we had fraud in the past, but it was not even close to the degree that we had in this last election. So that's another destabilizing factor that's going on. War in Europe. I think a lot of people thought we were beyond wars in Europe. You know, there's the European Union. There's the idea that wars didn't really solve much in Europe. It was just people killing each other for all that time. And yet we're back to Russia and Ukraine. It's in Eastern Europe, not Western Europe, but nonetheless, it is a major war that's going on right now. And I'm really concerned about this. Lots of innocent people that are being killed, and it's just really sad. More recently, we've got inflation rates that haven't been seen before. They're just incredible, the amount of inflation that's going on, which of course hits people that are on the poorer end of the spectrum much harder than the wealthy people. In other words, those who are just making it by on their income, and now they've got to buy groceries for 20, 30%, sometimes 50% more than they were paying before. I mean, you have to say, how are people making it? We've got world leaders that are intentionally intervening and controlling things. They're through various means, technology, sometimes vaccination responses, those kind of things. Big name people like Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook, George Soros, Bill Gates, William Buffett, Klaus Schwab. These are world players. They're not national players. They've got billions and billions of dollars. Interestingly enough, it seems like Elon Musk, who apparently is the richest man in the world right now, is kind of taking an oppositional position. So what's going on with all that power pushing that's happening with those globalist folks? In other words, the ones that have the ability to change the direction and outcome of nations. That's a pretty significant thing. So what I want to kind of close with is this, God's not asleep. Okay, he's not sitting by and saying, oh, you poor foolish people down on the earth. He's got an entity on earth called the church that he is working in right now to raise up what will be an answer to this, but more than just an answer. For people that are desperate for solutions to these problems, it's really not more control by the government or global elitists or anybody else for that matter. It's more freedom for the American people. It's more people walking into who they are meant to be. And the church is actually the entity that's supposed to raise that up. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to talk about what I see as existing right now, some of the power struggles, what God is doing in the midst of that, and also what the Lord is raising up in this time. And I think that's the most exciting thing that I have to share with you in this series, A Bit of Light, is the light of heaven is breaking through to the earth. And we're seeing some of the most encouraging signs that I've ever seen in my life, while at the same time seeing this dramatic shift, not just nationally in the United States, but globally. There's a shift taking place where power is being consolidated and people are actually losing freedoms rather than gaining them. That's not the heart of the Lord. So I want to tell you, there's other things going on to encourage us. So don't raise the white flag. Don't give in. Don't say, well, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. God is at work, and we need to see what he's doing and join in with that. So I'm excited to talk about that. This is kind of just a little teaser for what's to come, but I hope that you'll tune in every week as I post some information about these things and give what I believe is going on right now in terms of the kingdom of God and how this is going to impact individual lives and nations and the earth. So bless you. We call it A Bit of Light. That's going to be the series. Like I said, it sounds a little bit corny, but I really like the name, so I'm going to keep that for now and maybe change it a little later on. We'll see. And I will be back next week to share with you a few more things. Bye-bye.